So we meet again, good fellows. This is Mr. Barrett, your Brit Lit instructor. All right, let's get this lesson started. For your bell work, you've got another reading accountability quiz. And yes, as you've guessed it by now, it is based on your questions to consider. Some of you are giving me excellent arguments for why you think you should get an answer correct when you originally got it wrong. This only lets me know that you really know your stuff. So I'm usually going to give it to you if your argument is based on what you're learning from the book. There's been a few excellent ones so far. So stop this video recording here and get your reading accountability quiz from Google Classroom and answer those few questions. It should only take you, once again, about 7 minutes, and then we will meet back here. Don't forget to come back. All right. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the reading accountability quiz. It was certainly based on your reading, as I'm sure you could see. All right. And if you have any problems with the answers, I'm sure you'll be emailing me or talking to me about them soon. Okay, let's get this lesson going. I want to introduce you to what you will be doing for your final project type of situation for this unit, this dystopian novel unit. You're going to do an oral report. Why? I'll tell you why. Because the powers that be, maybe they're like Big Brother. Are they watching us? They probably are. They're probably watching us right now. Hey, turn around. I think they're watching you. Okay, anyways, the powers that be that are always watching, that are probably watching us right now, the ones who wrote the standards for 11th and 12th grade British literature classes, those powerful, wonderful, amazing people who we never say anything negative about, but always say only good things about, because they're watching us right now. Those people have written these standards. They say that you, juniors and seniors, should be able to make a formal oral presentation in a group or individually. And you're going to do this individually. Notice all of the sub-standards that you will be hitting along the way. Now, obviously, most of these you'll just sort of naturally hit as you go through preparing for an oral report. Choose the purpose of the presentation. I kind of give you that, but choose vocabulary, language, and tone appropriate to the audience, topic, and purpose. Use details, illustrations, statistics, comparisons, and analogies to support the presentation. Use media, visual literacy, and technology skills to create and support the presentation, and yada, yada, yada. Again, as you can see, you'll obviously hit most of these standards as you prepare for your oral report. Here's a few more details. Students will prepare a 2-page oral report. So it's nothing major. It's nothing like insanely long or crazy. But you'll prepare a 2-page oral report that answers this prompt. When governments speak, what? You decide. When governments speak, that's it. It's just got to start out with that prompt. When governments speak, and you fill in the answer. The purpose is to analyze 1984 from a socio-political perspective, giving you, the students, an opportunity to prepare and present sort of like a TED Ed type talk. Your criteria is this. You must include at least 4 references to 1984. Must include at least 2 references to learning in Asian studies, comparative politics, AP World History, or any of your Mrs. Young type humanities or history classes. You must follow an average speech format. So you'll have an introduction, you'll have some points and examples and illustrations to go with those points. You'll have some transitions, and then you'll have a conclusion. So this is it, an oral presentation. And you will have a more detailed rubric that will be coming in sometime next week. But this basically is your rubric right here. These are the things that you need to include. This is what it's about. And you will simply be answering the prompt, when governments speak. I'm excited to hear your different perspectives, especially after reading such a thought-provoking novel like George Orwell's 1984. Okay, you will be relieved to know that today's lesson, the big idea is this. Sometimes we just need time to catch up. And that's what you're going to do for today's class. You're going to play a little bit of catch up, making sure you are up on your reading, you're up on your assignments, and you don't get behind. And hopefully, today's class, used effectively and efficiently, which I know you will all do because Big Brother's watching, should allow you to keep from having too much homework in British literature over the weekend. In fact, it may keep you from having any homework over the weekend in British literature. And wouldn't that be nice? Because I bet you got a lot of other homework in other subjects like AP Chem and AP Econ and all those other crazy subjects. Okay, the standards we've been looking at these last couple classes: recognize the characteristics of major chronological eras, in this case, the modern period. You did that last class. I've looked over some of your assignments that you've turned in already, and it's looking pretty good. It looks like you've really identified some major characteristics of modern literature. Also, we've looked at relating literary works and authors to major themes and issues of their eras. So boy, oh boy, is this book not in any way divorced from major issues of the era. In fact, Orwell's 1984 is steeped in issues that were going on during that time period, as you have brilliantly pointed out. So we've looked at some essential questions like, what desired change or impact is the author of a dystopian novel going for? What are the warnings that you predict you will get from 1984? What are some of the key external motivators that caused Orwell to write 1984? What major events shaped the modern era of literature? What contrasting cultural moods existed during the era? How do these moods present themselves in 1984? And what are the key characteristics of modern literature? So these are some of the essential questions that you have already been answering, and you've been doing it very well. Okay, students will be able to articulate three key historical events and 3 characteristics of modern British literature and compare and contrast them with a summary of 1984. And you were assigned, everyone was doing the gray square, and then you were to pick one of the other squares, the other colored squares, and in a group or as an individual, you were to complete this assignment. Now, I've already seen that some of you have done this, so great job. There are, though, a large handful of you that have still not done this, so this gives you time to complete this. Now, if you've already done this assignment and you and or your group is released from the responsibility of this assignment because it is done. And don't forget, by the way, to make sure you click done on Google Classroom. Then you will want to make sure you're up on all your other activities, and you'll want to make sure that you do your reading so that you are free from British literature work over the weekend. So keep in mind, today's class has nothing to do with the boy or girl you're dating. It has nothing to do with the movie that you're going to go see this weekend. It has nothing to do with the latest Netflix series that you just can't get enough of. It has nothing to do with AP Chem or AP Econ and the quizzes that you failed in those classes and are moaning and groaning over. It has nothing to do with those things. It has everything to do with making sure you don't have any Brit Lit homework over the weekend. So complete this assignment if you haven't done it yet. And if you have, make sure you're up on all your other activities, and then go ahead and as a last resort, you'll have your new pages of reading and your new questions to consider. All right. And with that, here are your new pages for homework. Pages 63 to 104. And, of course, their observation questions. And here are the observation questions. Orwell's use of vices in his novel, like prostitution, may seem tasteless and a bit crass, but what major theme may Orwell be supporting with the use of these shocking scenes? It's sort of a contrast between two things. I'll give you a hint there. What are some images Orwell uses, talking through Winston, of course, To describe life in 1984 Oceania for a party member such as himself. Do these images remind you of life for anyone in our day? And number 3, how does Orwell use the 3 men, Jones, Aronson, and Rutherford, to show the depth of the party's corruption? That should be a question mark after that question. My bad. And next, 4, what is the significance of Winston's definition of freedom that he writes in his journal? 5, what is the significance of the glass paperweight? And 6, why do you think Orwell belabored the conversation between the patron and the bartender over the pint versus half pint of beer? These are your questions to consider as you plow your way through pages 63 and through pages 104. So everybody's got something to do for class. Please be respectful of your substitute. Make sure you keep your voices down if you're working in a group. If you're reading your pages, then of course you can just be silent and you can be observing your observation questions, maybe jotting a few key points down in your journal. All right, I will see you at the beginning of next week on Monday. Have a great weekend, students, and hasta luego.